Hi everyone, we're here in Ballston Spa, New York. I'm Joe Seaman, candidate for the New York State Assembly here in the 112th District. And my campaign is about hearing the voices of different people. Today, we're here at the Real McCoy Beer Company in Ballston Spa, and we're going to be talking to Mike Shafer. He's the proprietor, and we're going to ask him how his business is doing, how things are going here, and we're going to be hearing the voice of lots of different people, including small business owners here in the district. So we're entering in. This is the Real McCoy Beer Company, and come on in and take a look around.
Oh, that's good. Okay, so he's going to give you a beer that's my food.
So, folks, this is Mike Shafer. Mike is the proprietor, the business owner, the business starter of the Real McCoy Beer Company. And tell us, for somebody who's never heard of this place, tell us what's going on here.
So this building is actually the birthplace of Abner Doubleday, who's the purported founder of baseball. The house dates back, as far as we can tell, to 1820, and it is actually that old. We've got the blue sign in the front, as you probably saw walking in. It's a nice old building. I rented from John here in the village, John Crummy, the village historian, and he actually restored it to what you see right here. It was in pretty bad shape a few years ago, like almost was going to be demoed, and John saved the building, and that's why we have it here today. So it's a great old building and a good place, hopefully, for a tap room.
Cool.
And you opened in February, you said?
February 8th we opened, and that was our official grand opening.
Right before COVID.
Right before COVID hit, yeah. Gotta love my time.
So we see there's the founder of baseball. We see baseball on the screen here. We see some of the themes. There's what you've got on tap. So where does this beer come from? Is this beer imported? Is it from a big factory, or where's it from?
No, we make all our own beer right here in the Capital District. The brewery itself is in Delmar. That's where our other location is. That's where the beer is brewed. And there's a tap room down there. Mike and Alex are down there. I work for and with them, and they do all the brewing. And then this is the satellite tap room that the New York State Farm license allows a few satellite tap rooms. So this is the satellite tap room for the Real McCoy Beer Company. Like I said, all the beer is brewed by us, and it's with majority New York State ingredients, because we are New York State Farm. So we try to buy as much as we can from local farmers. Sometimes we go further out into the state, but it's all, majority New York State.
All right, that's pretty good stuff.
Yep.
Local business, local tap room, local customers, brewed right here in the region, using ingredients coming from the area. This is a pretty good job multiplier type of thing here. But what we got to ask is the timing. You opened this up in February, and we are in a pandemic. And just tell us about how it's been for you with COVID-19.
So it's been interesting. Like, February to March, it was, I would say, a nice growing local clientele. A lot of folks who like to come and hang out here, and most nights there'd be a nice little full bar here, folks sitting around tables, a nice camaraderie in here. There were people who we got to meet and talk to each other from meeting right in here. And then, of course, March 15th, I believe it was, the whole world changed. So during that time, for about, I think until June 15th, exactly 2 months, I did beer to go for very reduced hours. So, we did some canning, 16-ounce cans. We have growlers there that you can fill. And thankfully, from the support of the local folks, there was no money coming out as far as profit goes, but I was able to pay my bills, pay the electricity and the rent and everything else. So we broke even during those couple months. So I guess in this situation, you can't ask for more than that.
That's an amazing. Did you get any aid?
I did not get any aid. I did apply several times, and I did not get any aid.
Okay, that's very interesting.
Really?
So I'm going to ask, do you think that a small business had the same chance as a big business of getting the aid?
I would say it doesn't appear to be. So I do know other small businesses, folks that I know that did get the aid. So why didn't I get it? Who knows? I got several notices or emails that said, they didn't say you're that wasn't correct, but they did say you're not approved or that you did something wrong in the form, and said that the fund is empty. I tried a couple different funds, let me say this, a couple different methods of doing it. I went through the main site, there was a main website. I went through a couple different banks and stuff that had their own portals where you can do it. And each time I got a notice that said the fund is empty. So it could just be bad luck because, again, my first thought was, wow, freaking Ruth's Chris Steakhouse is getting it, but nothing for me. But then I started hearing from folks that I know with their own small businesses. Some had my story, and some actually got it. So it seemed to be basically a crapshoot.
Okay, all right. But
did you try calling anyone to get help with that?
I made a couple phone calls. I called one of the banks that I applied through. He basically said, well, we supply the online portal and we kind of organize it for them, but we have no say in it. And then the other number I called, I think New York State number, I just never got anywhere.
okay. Did you ever think of calling an elected official?
I did not even consider that. I was like, I gave it the way I kind of looked at it, we gave it our best shot. It didn't happen. What are you going to do?
Just so you know, that's the job of the offices of elected officials, to do what they call constituent services, to help people out. And let me tell you, I'm running on one particular, actually two parties, but I'm against a candidate on another party. But regardless of party, you should be able to count on whoever they are, whatever side.
Yep.
You should be able to. All people should be able to go to their elected official offices, members of the legislature, Congress, and see if you can get some assistance. That's what those offices are there for.
No, I hear it.
And that's not I'm a partisan guy, and I talk lots about partisan politics. We're not doing that right now.
No, I understand
but
what
that
you're
should
saying.
be a non-partisan type of thing.
No, it should absolutely, yeah.
But
regardless.
I'm impressed with the fact that you managed to stay open through this. So now that, how long have you actually been physically reopened for?
So I think it was June 13th or 15th, I don't remember the exact date, that the governor allowed outdoor seating. So that it kind of came out of the blue. We weren't expecting it to be about a week later. Maybe it was a week earlier, but it was somewhere right at the beginning, early, middle of June.
Phase 2 or whatever it was. Yeah.
Right, he did an early thing for phase 2 and then for Banger, yeah.
Something like that. Yeah.
So that day that it happened, we saw the notice. Same with my counterparts in Delmar. We text chat on the phone, and we're all like, all right, let's see what we can do. So that very day, set up outdoor tables, whatever you got, just try to start generating some income.
So how's it been going?
It's been going okay. It's odd. You can no longer, like with any other small business in these times, you just can't predict. You can kind of know when you're gonna have your traffic flow, and as the days, even in my couple months of experience. But now it is just people's patterns have changed a little bit, for understandable reasons.
So maybe people start drinking earlier. You never know.
Well, and then there are some days where I think it's going to be quiet, and I'll get a nice little crowd of folks sitting outside. You just never
But
know.
mostly you're still sitting outside, you're not having to.
So,
Oh no, mostly outside. Yes. Yep.
So are you doing any advertising, any promotions? Are there any local business groups that are helping small business?
I'm a member of the Boston Spa Professional Association, and they've done a lot of different little things just to try to promote. During the shutdown, they did like these little online contests, or if you bought from a local business, you get a gift card and stuff like that. I'm doing social media advertising. I'm doing cross promotions with a lot of other businesses in town.
Is this cost effective? Are you bringing it? Is it worth it? Bringing in business?
Social media isn't that expensive, but there's only a certain amount before it just is oversaturation. You're reaching the same people, but it's definitely generated some interest. Partnering with local businesses and local food trucks and stuff definitely brings out people who want to eat
Tell
when
us
they're
about
having
the
their beer.
food trucks, I like to hear about the food
Yeah, tell us about the food trucks.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So every Saturday, and I might be doing it a little more, but every Saturday I have a different food truck, or maybe it's the same one, but they come a couple weeks later. And I use local folks from the area. I use a small business, so it's.
So who you got coming this Saturday?
This Saturday is Terra Kitchen. They're actually from Detroit.
And they were also in Schenectady.
Yes, they got a Schenectady location.
That's truck, that's great.
Yeah. So it's something you can come here. You can.
What time of day is the food truck here? I'm
Yeah,
hungry. I'm hungry just thinking about it.
usually I do like a 3 to 7, 3 to 8. Right when people want to start having early dinner or dinner. So.
Excellent.
I think the
Very
food truck
good.
is a great idea.
It's fun because you can have the beer and then you have a different food option to try every weekend. So yeah.
Good. So I want to tell you that I appreciate you talking with us here and telling us about how your business is going. I want to also ask, how is, like, in this COVID-19, how is your family, friends, relatives, how are people doing?
Everybody for the most part is doing all right. My wife, who co-owns this with me, she, not here as often because we've got a couple of kids, and she's doing the hard work at home. She's ICU nurse at Albany Med. So during this whole thing, that was definitely a stress on the family because she was in the unit and they did a good job of PPE, giving them a decon area and stuff. But it was definitely a stress. She did get sick.
Hey, is it inappropriate of me, since this is my video, to mention to everybody I'm endorsed by the New York State Nurses Association?
Your video, man.
Okay, thank you. Okay. I just have to throw those little things in there and go, but no, we all appreciate nurses. Now, I must tell you, for years, many of us have been saying nurses need better treatment, need safe staffing levels, need good unions and good pay, and I'm glad that nowadays nurses are being respected and called heroes.
Oh no, nurses care, they do a lot of hard work, as we all know. So, yeah.
Supposedly they work harder than doctors.
And they don't get paid as well as a doctor. Not quite. Not
So she
quite.
does that and helps you here, but she's working full time at Albany Med?
Yeah, so she does three 12s a week, and we've arranged it so one of us is always home with their 2 kids. So,
How old are your kids?
6 and 2.
Oh wow,
Yeah,
that's a handful.
A handful, yeah. So yeah, I watch them during the day when she catches up on sleep, and I have another side job as well. And then I'm here in the evening, so Wednesday to Saturday.
This is a pretty big life you got going on.
It's good to be busy, man.
All
Neither of
right.
us like to sit still. So.
That's great. All right, good. So now, from my perspective, I'm running for the New York State Assembly, and what the Assembly does is we pass the laws, we pass the budget, we deal with how your taxes are spent, and who pays the tax, who doesn't, where the money goes. So I'd like to talk to you about what we think, what you think. I'll compel us to tell you what I think. I guess in some case I can do that. About what the New York State government can do to help, or maybe what it shouldn't do, maybe it does for part. So, first I want to ask, do you have any thoughts? And if you don't, that's all right. Not everybody has to be like politically involved. Do you have any thoughts on any things that you think the New York government shouldn't be doing that would help people like you, small business owners, someone who's a nurse, families, a couple of young kids who's working hard? I mean, listen, everybody watching this video says, here's somebody who's working hard, who's really giving it all to, I think we can call it the American dream. I don't think it's overhyped.
Sure.
To say you've got a historic building, the birthplace of baseball, you've got a historic village of Boston Spa where we're trying to build the downtown, right?
Absolutely.
We're trying to build a locally based economy. We're trying to build an economy where we produce things like the beer around here. We use materials from the farms around here. We employ people here, and we serve the people in the community.
Right.
And we make a place that, I know there's not a bar for people here, but when COVID-19 is over, we'll have a place that people will hang out with. People, like you saw the TV show Cheers. It's,
Right.
a place that's a part of the community.
Yep.
So this, to me, I think this is as close as I see to the American dream here in Boston Spa. It's my little corner of the world.
Yep.
And so, what do you think the New York State government can do to help you in what you're doing?
In all honesty, it's just such a difficult time for everybody right now. I mean, if you talk to anybody who every single person that has something that's affected them from, financially, their job, they're laid off. I mean, I don't think it's really too much of a matter of anything changing in that regard. It's just that we're all in this situation. I mean, we're all just, if you're working from home even, you're probably working less hours than you were before. Maybe you got a pay cut, it's just something we've kind of got to get through together. Like I'm always yapping and hear to death about people. I'm not a partisan guy at all. I don't have a side. It's just it's members of the community coming together and just getting through it together. That's what I like to see, and that's what it's all about. I don't think there's any specific thing other than just struggling through it like we all have to do.
Okay, appreciate that. So I want to tell you about some of the things that I think can help, and let me know. So here are some of the things that New York government can do, could do, should do. There's one thing that New York government can do is we can create a healthcare system for everyone, where every single person here, it's kind of like you go across the border in Canada, they have a similar system, where there are doctors, whatever doctor you want to see, whatever medical professional you get to choose. It's not determined by an insurance company. Everybody's in the same plan. when you have a job, you got health insurance coverage. When you don't have a job, you still have health. You don't lose it. I know a lot of people have lost their health insurance and losing their jobs and losing their hours. The healthcare plan that's actually a bill in the New York State Legislature, one that hasn't passed yet, and if I'm elected, I'm going to be working hard for. It's called the New York Health Act. The general idea of it, and it's probably subject to some change, is that we create a healthcare system for everyone, and we don't need to pay the insurance. So, for example, when somebody wants to buy a beer, they don't have a company that they pay every month a certain amount to buy the beer for them when they get thirsty or when they desperately need it. You can come and buy it. Well, you can't do that with healthcare, because if you come into a hospital and your bill is $200,000, and it can happen, you don't have the money in your pocket. So you've got insurance companies, you pay them just to be a deep pocket for us. So if we have real big need, they're there. But you average it all out, they're making profits, lots of profits, because the amount that we are all paying them is less than the amount that they're paying to the doctors. But we don't actually need them. We don't go to an insurance company when we're sick. So this program would say we don't need to pay what amounts to welfare, corporate welfare insurance companies, because here's the thing. We put all the people of New York together, and together we have, collectively, as much wealth as any billionaire insurance company. So we can insure ourselves, and that's what the New York Health Act would be, and it would mean everyone got health care. It would mean 98% of the people in New York would save money. And I think that that's a big thing for employment. I want to ask you, if you have to hire somebody here, how much of an issue is buying health insurance for them?
Okay. So in all honesty, I haven't gone through that process yet. I have talked about it with the boys at Delmar a little bit, because they have a couple of capital employees and stuff. I'll probably be going to pass on commenting on these things. I do have my own thoughts, but just as a business owner, I'll probably just respectfully pass. But I was very interested to hear your thoughts.
But the point I want to make for us is that I talk to business owners, and one of the hardest things about hiring new people is that you don't just have to pay them, you've got to pay for their health insurance.
Oh no, true workers' compensation, all these other things that go along. It's not just paying the wage. You're right about that. Yes.
So I think that's something that'll help. So we talked a little bit about your sourcing the product for your beer from locally based farms, locally based producers. Mm-hmm. And I would like to see us build an economy that is more locally rooted and less dependent upon big, far away economic factors. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it definitely does. The more business I can do, and this is always an ongoing effort that I can do with local folks in my community to help them, as they help me, the better. Absolutely.
And when local people are earning money, they've got money to spend locally. They can come into here, and you can go to their farm and buy their farm products. And so we kind of work together.
Right.
So I want to talk about some place that a lot of our money goes, and that's to energy. That's the national grid bill you have here, the national grid you have in your home, the bill that everybody, and all of us have. It's a lot of energy. And I'm talking about the gas that we put in the car. And most everybody around here has got cars. Sure. So we're spending a lot. If you think of all the money we're spending on our electric bills, on gas, that's a lot of money. So one of the things that I'm running on is a plan that involves taking that money, and instead of sending all that money to National Grid, which I think is a foreign-owned corporation, British or something like that, or taking that money and going into Gulf Oil or Texaco or whoever, which is also a lot of money is going to faraway places, and most of that money is going to billionaires, and not much of that money is staying here in the community, right? What if we change that and we produce our own energy, just like we can produce our own beer, just like we can grow the grains that you use in the beer? What if we produce our own energy right here by having farms of solar cells on the roofs of houses, commercial buildings, all over the place, and windmills. And we take that money that it's now going far away, going out the door, and we produce that energy right here in Sarasota County, right here in the capital region, throughout upstate New York. You think that would help keep more money here, so there would be more money for people to spend at the local farm, at the local beer company, at the local restaurants, at the local businesses?
In this plan, who is the energy owned by that's produced locally?
Great question. So we're talking about creating something that's not there, changing. Now, you've probably heard about climate change, and you know that's caused from burning fossil fuels. So we have to make some big changes. It's a big plan. So very important is who's going to own it. So here's who I don't want to own it. I don't want National Grid to own our energy production. I don't want Texaco or some multinational, multi-billion-dollar corporation own it. But what if we had that it was owned by you? So for example, if you or you're a landlord here, or maybe on your home, you had solar cells put on the roof of your own home, and you owned them, but you didn't have tens of thousands of dollars to come up front with, because the government, that's what we can do. We can provide that as a government collectively, but you paid it every month out of the same money that you would pay for your electric bill to gain ownership. What do you think if you own your own?
That's something I would have to put more thought in. I don't have an answer for you either way, but it's an interesting proposition.
But the idea is to make it affordable, make it so that you'll save money. So the amount of money that you're spending on your national grid or on gas, it'll cost you less. That's the bottom line. That's how we have to do this. We have to we can also have community-owned and small business-owned. So, for example, you could have you may have driven by places where you've seen windmills, or solar farms, where you have big arrays of solar photovoltaic cells, and there's no reason we can't have those community-owned. Why can't the village of Ballston Spa or the town of Milton, or why can't we own them and we all share in that ownership? And we don't need a big corporation. What do you think about that?
So when you pay your electric bill, the money, the check is made out to whom?
So if we could, so there's a lot of ways we can do this, and how we finance it is very complicated, but simply suggest that what New York can do is we can bond, which means getting money at ridiculously low interest rates, so we can come up with the capital to invest to create this, and the bonds are paid off by the state government, and you would pay to the government. It would be a government entity. I mean, probably we'd have to create an authority, a separate government authority to do this, with a particular agency with certain bonding authorities. But yeah, so you'd be paying a bill to the New York New Green Deal Authority, or whatever we call it, the Green New Deal Authority. It could be something. But the bottom line is, how I want us to do it, how we have to do it, is so the money that you pay is less than what you're paying now. Right? And if it's going to be more, who's going to do it?
All right, I have to hear more about the plan. I certainly wouldn't look into anything that would save me some money right now, I'll tell you that.
and so we're looking at it as something that will save money, that will create cleaner air, a cleaner environment, and will keep our money here. And if you think about it, if we've got windmills and solar power, solar cells, geothermal power, other kinds of renewable energy, hydropower, there's a lot of hydro potential here in upstate New York.
Right.
Now, who's going to be building and maintaining it? Are we going to have people, are we going to have people, in a call center in India or somewhere in Mexico working jobs, or is it going to be people here in our community who are going to be having jobs?
Yeah, no, it's again, just not.
It's got to be jobs here. You can't also, we used to have in upstate New York, I'm old enough to remember, you might not be, maybe you are. We have in upstate New York, we have a history of having mills, factories. There's here in Boston Spa on the Cateros Creek. There's the chocolate factory. Right, and we've got all the way around here in the Mohawk Valley and Capital Region. We've had shirt factories and carpet factories and glove factories and you know what happened to those factories, right?
As far as
They're gone. They moved. They up and left
They're gone.
because they don't have to be here. But and they used to, by the way, the workers in these factories used to fill the bars.
Right, yeah, yep.
That was decades ago. But that's not here. Those jobs were outsourced. The thing about energy, if you're producing it here, you can't outsource the jobs.
I was just wondering why there wasn't more hydropower. You know, you said with all the rivers and like waterfalls and stuff, like why there wasn't more hydropower.
Well, I think the main reason there hasn't been hydropower, solar power, wind power is because the oil companies, very, very big multi-billion-dollar multinational corporations and national grid, these big, big companies, they make more money the way it is. They make money burning coal, burning oil. That's how they make their money. And the other thing, and where my campaign is all about, is how they use that money to buy political power. So this is, to me, that's corruption. Corruption is when the decisions that our government makes are made not upon the interests of everybody, but on the interests of a few people, rich people who have the money to contribute to campaigns and buy politicians. And I think that's why we need more hydro. Hydro is a natural, it's a no-brainer, right? It's a no-brainer. Solar, a no-brainer. Wind, it's a no-brainer. We've got across upstate, we've got plenty of windy places. And so this is all logical, and we've known about this for decades. We need to do this, but I think the problem is that big corporate interests make a lot of money doing things a certain way, and they have control on the politicians. So here, I'm running as candidate for office. I'm sorry, you can go ahead and take care of your customer if you need to. We can take a break. But I am running as a candidate, but I don't consider myself a politician. As a matter of fact, if you go online, you look up unpolitician.us, not politician, but unpolitician.us, tell me who you find. So I'm trying to be the opposite of a typical politician.
Oh, no, I appreciate hearing your thoughts on that.
And so these are some of the things that I think we can do for New York. Go ahead, your thing.
Thank you so
We got
much.
business going on. So we're going to be cutting out. We're going to be letting Mike get back to work. Thank you, Mike, for your time. Thank you, everybody, for viewing. And remember, this is the home of Abner Doubleday, where he was born.
That's right.
That's right. The baseball started here in Boston Spa, and the Real McCoy Beer Company. Well, check it out. Thank you, folks.
Thank you.
Okay.